Okay, so we're going to start looking at wages and income tax. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this diagram here. Okay, so what they're saying is this shows how your wages are divided. When your wages are divided for tax purposes, they're considered in two parts. This up to this amount here, which isn't always 30-something thousand, you'll be told how much it is, but you pay 20% of this at that rate. Then some people have more money, and if they earn more than this, they have to pay different rate of tax. So you take this amount of tax here, this amount of money here, and you would take 41% of that, and that would be taxed. And then you'd add those together to find out how much tax you owe. If you earn, say, €10,000 in here, you still only pay 20% of that. If you pay €20,000, we'll say, you pay 20% of that. If you earn €40,000, up to 30,000, you get 20% of that will be paid. Then this part that's above the 30,000, which would be, say, 10,000, and 41% of that 10,000 will be paid in tax. So this point here is called your standard rate cut-off point. That is a term you need to recognize and know. Then you have your gross tax, the amount of tax owed before your tax credits. So when you work out this amount, the 41% here, and the 20% of this amount, you add those together, that is your gross tax. Your tax credit is taken off your gross tax. So when you work out how much tax you have to pay, you have to work out your tax at 20%, your tax at 41%, and then you take away your tax credit, and that gives you your tax payable or your net tax. We'll work through an example and see what happens. So the amount of tax paid at a standard rate. But how do you get it? You multiply your standard rate cut-off point by the standard rate of tax. Unless someone earns less than that. If they earn less, well then they pay less. Here's an example. Emma, lovely name. She earns €170 per annum, okay, which means a year. Her standard rate cut-off point is €20,000 and the standard rate of tax is 21%. How much standard tax does she pay? So if we want to find out the amount of tax she pays at the standard rate, you multiply the standard rate cut-off point by the standard rate of tax. So that will be 20,000 multiplied by 21%. We have to change that to a decimal. So it's 20,000 multiplied by 0.21, and that's €4,200. So then, if you want to work out the amount paid at the higher rate of tax, you have your gross wages, take away your standard rate cut-off point, and you multiply the answer by the higher rate of tax. So here, Emma again earns €170,000 per annum, same question. Her standard rate cut-off point is €20,000 and her higher rate of tax is 41%. How much tax does she pay at the higher rate? So it's the gross, take away standard rate cut-off point and multiply that by her rate of tax as a decimal, 0.41, and that tells you that she has to pay €61,500 at the higher rate of tax. A lot of tax per year. So then what is her gross tax? So how do we work out the gross tax? Well, the gross tax is the tax paid at the standard rate plus the tax paid at the higher rate. So here we're looking at the same question again. So it's Emma with her €170,000, standard rate cut-off point is €20,000, standard rate of tax is 21, higher rate of tax is 41%, which we've done in the last two slides. So we have to add those together. Her tax at 21% was 4,200. Her tax at 41% was 61,500. So that gives you a total of So then to work out her net tax, so we have to take off the tax credits, and that's money taken off your gross tax. So to get your net tax, or the tax payable, it's your gross tax, take away your tax credits. Same question again. So what is her total tax bill? Well, her gross tax was 65,700. Her tax credits are €200. So then she has to pay 65,500 euro in tax. So much money does poor Emma get, after all, at the end of all of this? So we have to work out the net pay here. How do we get the net pay? The net pay in general is the gross wages, and you take away all the deductions. All we're looking at for now is the income tax. So we have our gross wages, which are 170,000 euro. We take away the income tax, which is 65,500, and that leaves it with 104,500 euros per year.